Welcome to the Technique Tuesday. On this time I want to show how to sew a flat fell seam. You see this quite a bit on actually on a denim, on a jeans. One of the seams tend to be a flat fell seam, which is a very secure seam because all the raw edges are wrapped inside. And you can either have this side to be the right side when there is one straight stitch, kind of top stitching on the right side, or you could have this to be the right side when you see the two rows of stitches. It's just how we fold the fabrics together. I'm going to show it first with the just a kind of traditional way to do with the standard foot, but then I will show with the other cool technique using the felling foot. If I do it with the traditional way, I will use just the standard foot, and then I have put my fabrics together. So I have this time the right sides together, which will make a seam that looks like this way when we have top stitching on just the right side. On this case, I will offset my fabrics, which means if this was a garment, you would need to trim half the seam allowance away from one layer. In this sample, I just offsetted them about 1/4 inch. And then I have set my machine just for straight stitch, and I'm using the piecing stitch because that way I can use my standard foot, and it has a 1/4 inch seam just from the side of the foot. And I put really wild colors again in the machine, so hopefully that will show well on the camera. So here was my first part. Well, on this one, this is a multi-part method, because now what I need to do is I need to go and press my seam open. But in addition, I need to go and press this this raw edge under, so that way the shorter raw edge get wrapped inside this seam. So I will go and iron and press it, and I'll be back. Okay, I have gone and pressed this. And because there was a lot of pressing, I actually going to try to fold them first this way and then one more time to press. And it was still not easy to get even a short seam then be even. And in order to try not to burn my fingers, I love using these silicone filled fingertips. They come as a set of 3, so I can put them for different size fingers. I often put them on the different ones, and it will kind of help me to protect my fingertips a bit. So just a little product tip there. So now for the next seam, what I need to do is I will need to top stitch. I could use my standard foot, or of course I could still use my the edge joining foot, which will make really much nicer straight stitching. I just use the standard one. So again, I need to just keep that pressed edge under. And I will be stitching. So here is my second seam, and on this time the right side I got the bobbin thread will show on the right side. Again, if I had put my wrong sides of fabrics together to start with, then this would be my right side, and I would have 2 rows of stitching. And I had different color bobbin threads, so we may want to have the same color. So that is a traditional way. Well, enter a felling foot. This makes it so much easier. And this book is really great. It has information about how to use many of the baby lock feet. My book is an older one. I believe they call them now inspirational guides. And I'm not sure, they may even have more feet on them. But this one, it has information about the feet itself first, kind of all about the different kinds of feet. And then we go to all kinds of techniques. And I put a little marker there. Here we go. Here's the seams, flat fell seams. And they show about how to use that the felling foot. On this example, they will show to press this hem. I'm not even doing that one. Only thing I do in the end, I do a pressing when the seam is finished one time instead of multiple times. But I'm going to go ahead and set up in the machine to see how this works. The felling foot is a low shank foot, which in my case means I need to use the adapter because my machine is a high shank. If you have a low shank machine, you will just take the ankle out and mount this directly. My case, I need to make it into a low shank using this adapter. So I will take my standard foot and the ankle out. And on this case with the adapter, I need to take this screw totally out. And then I can put the adapter in place. And just give a little tug with the screwdriver. And then I will loosen that screw, the smaller one for the adapter. And then, again, I'm using the pressure foot lift on the back to give a little extra lift. And to tighten this one, I like to use this little screwdriver that is an extra accessory. It just makes it so much easier because it just gives me a little extra leverage and getting onto that tiny screw. So these are great tools. So now I have my flat felling foot in the machine. I have a straight stitch needle at the center position. That's all I need for this one. And yes, I could go and press this one like the instructions show. I'm just gonna offset same amount, about 1/4 inch on this fabric. The same as the other method was, we need to have half the seam allowance removed. So in this case, I just offsetted the fabrics. And now this foot has a little kind of a toe in there. So the toe, I'm gonna put that, the longer piece of the fabric kind of towards the right side of that, on that foot. Try to keep my hands away a bit. And then we just use my little purple tongue to get that little piece of fabric underneath. And this is where the knee lever is really helpful because I can get that fabric, that folded edge under. And you could have pressed it and it'll kind of stay a little bit easier, but I'm kind of lazy on pressing sometimes. And then on the other part of this foot, there's a little kind of a horizontal toe. I'm keeping that one where my other raw edge is. And then all I will do is I just start stitching. And if I didn't get my thread caught up on the front side of the foot, again, the knee lever is handy one to get lifted. So I'm just get it started. So here we go. So now all I have to do is really watch this part of the foot, that where the little toe is. What this little foot did was it just folded this edge for me, so I didn't have to iron, so no burnt fingers this time. And then for the second time, I'm gonna keep this one just how it came out of the machine. I will open the fabric. So again, now I have my seam on the top side. And instead of me now pressing this one and top stitching, I'm just going to put this fabric edge through that little slit. Again, this foot is designed for light to medium weight fabric. For denim, no, this would not work on that. It is the seam would be too narrow for the denim, and denim is too heavy fabric. But what I want to do this time is to get that folded edge the same way as I did earlier, that other raw edge, and then that little pin will follow my previous seam. And yes, I could have pressed it, but I kind of found out that I don't even need to. All I would do is I just start stitching. And on this side, kind of the toe, if it follows this previous stitching, which is the bobbin thread, and I'm just gonna keep my fabric flat. Wasn't that easy? So here we have, and they are much straighter lines than I had when I stitched with with my standard, so I didn't get them as perfect. This way they do much prettier, much nicer, narrower seam too. So felling foot, one of the great tools that help the job to be easier.